I've just come back from a trip, and part of this trip was to talk about the differences between uncoated and uncoated treated paper. Why would uncoated paper need to be treated? I was always asked. This is a great topic for creatives, printers, and merchants, especially those who are new to the industry. I'm Jim Kohler, Silvamo's paper professor. So join me and let's get started and see what it's all about. When I was teaching substrates for digital and traditional printing as an adjunct professor at the Rochester Institute of Technology, better known as RIT, I was always asked about those differences between uncoated and uncoated treated paper. This was a bit confusing to the students. Why does a paper need to be treated? Was usually their question. They're both pretty ubiquitous in the paper world, but even with how frequently they appear, there's still a lack of clarity on the differences between the two and the kinds of applications and presses that are ideal for each. Again, I'm Jim Kohler, Silvamo's paper professor, to help clear the confusion about the two paper types, sometimes referred to as offset paper and digital paper. I'll compare the two in terms of their traits and characteristics and look at what factors designers and printers should account for when deciding which type of paper to use for their project. So, what is just uncoated paper? Well, first it's defined by a handful of important characteristics that make it very different from uncoated digital treated paper. As you might suspect, since it is uncoated, the paper contains no type of coating or treatment. Due to the fact uncoated paper doesn't have a coating, the texture of the paper depends on how much the sheet is calendared, which is the process of passing the paper through a series of rollers that use enough force to compress the fibers. The amount of compression will determine how smooth the paper is. Now, some uncoated papers that don't have a coating or a treatment, but they still have some requirement for the type of equipment they'll be run on. For example, laser toner printers can use uncoated paper, but may need tighter moisture specifications. The tighter moisture specification is to control any curl due to the heat in the fuser section and the atmosphere in the room. So what about digital treated uncoated papers? Special coatings or treatments are used to enhance the performance on a type of digital equipment being used. Digital treatments vary by digital press type, but the two most common in the industry today are inkjet and HP indigo. So what's the difference between the two? Well, inkjet treated sheets are formulated to run on inkjet pigmented and dye-based roll and sheet fed equipment. So what's with inkjet treated papers? Well, the treatment additive is added during the paper making process. The treatment is added to the fibers of the sheet as opposed to a coating, which would lay on the top of the fibers. This treatment is done to provide the same brilliant color quality and print density that is normally associated with traditional offset print on uncoated papers. Inkjet inks are generally around 95% water, so the treatment also helps to wick away the excess water so the sheet can dry evenly during the printing process. Silvamo offers two types of treatments for inkjet, one for pigmented inks and the other for dye-based inks. For pigmented inks, that would be called color lock, and for dye-based, diamond. So what about indigo treated papers? These papers are treated for use on all indigo presses, ranging from Series 2 to Series 5 presses. The main function of the treatment is to assure the indigo electro ink binds to the fibers of the paper, which is known as ink adhesion. The treatment also helps the uncoated treated paper provide a smooth, level surface that results in crisp, vivid images, and where the printed ink dries quickly and evenly under the heat of the blanket on the press. My alma mater, RIT, Go Tigers, is an independent testing facility for HP, which uses a star rating system for papers treated for indigo presses, with 3 stars being the highest rating given. A total star rating covers items such as ink adhesion, blanket memory, feed, and ink flaking. So, when to use uncoated versus uncoated digitally treated papers? Well, it really depends on the press you are going to be using for your project. If you are printing on an offset press, no matter the size, uncoated paper is obviously the more logical choice because of its high degree of ink absorption, which makes the sheet more compatible with the plate and blanket based method of offset process. There are many types of offset papers available, such as a great one, accent opaque, for the offset process. You can print an uncoated paper on an inkjet press, but because the sheet is not properly treated, you may not be able to achieve the stunning color quality and clarity that is associated with digital inkjet printing, especially if you are using dye-based ink. The ink will absorb into the structure of the sheet or paper, resulting with the print looking dull. Without the inkjet treatment, ink on an inkjet press is printed by a series of small dots. Without the treatment of the dots, when printed, it will spread. Those dots will spread and hamper the clarity of your image and text. For us offset guys, we would call that excessive dot gain. So which is best for you? Well, both uncoated and uncoated digital treated paper can be used for print materials such as perfect bound books, invoices, letterheads, and other forms of conventional print communications, as well as more graphic applications like brochures, posters, and catalogs. Both are available in heavier weights and stand up well to a variety of special finishes like foil stamping and die cutting, which are ideal applications like for direct mail. So which is the best? Well, it depends on what you're printing and the printer's capabilities. The best thing I could recommend is to discuss with a printer you are choosing to determine their equipment and look for their recommendations for what equipment they use. If the job is a very long job, well, Weber sheet fed is probably the best choice. An accent opaque uncoated would be perfect for that type of press. If you're doing trans-promo or transactional, well, maybe inkjet web equipment is best. And again, accent opaque treated, either for pigmented or dye-based inks, would work fantastically. If you are doing a short run or a medium run, or even maybe a longer run, the indigo is a fantastic choice. So using accent opaque indigo treated 3-star is your best choice. If you get a chance, Slavama has a great piece showing the differences in printing of the various presses with accent opaque. Ask a merchant or Slavamo sales rep to see this fantastic piece that I've been holding. Well, unfortunately, that's a lot of information in a very short period of time. But the best thing to do is talk to a printer you are choosing when planning your project. They will be able to direct you to the right equipment. Sort out samples of paper, print it on offset, inkjet, and indigo process to see the difference between the technologies. Again, Slavamo has a great piece that a merchant or a Slavamo sales rep could show you. Maybe even get your copy that shows the varying differences, again, between the technologies. Now, if you've subscribed, don't forget to click on the bell so you're notified of the next episode. And if you haven't subscribed, why? Do so you get notified of all future episodes. Till the next episode, I'm Jim Cohen, Slavamo's paper professor, and I sure hope to see you in my next episode.